Hi everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be cooking Maduros, which are fried sweet plantains. This was a request from David Saylor's daughter. She wanted to know how to do these. So here we have some of the plantains that we're going to be using. I know in many cases you would think that this is a rotten plantain and should be thrown in the garbage. Actually, at this point they're at the sweetest and they will fry up beautifully. You can also, don't have to be this far, this is also acceptable. You definitely want some darkness in the plantains. You don't want them to be way too yellow. You want it really ripe. They make it really sweet. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is start peeling these suckers. And it's relatively easy. You just cut off the tips, and normally there's a ridge in the plantains. You can just slice across that ridge, and now of course these are really ripe, so it's a little bit leathery. See, and they just peel off beautifully. They're very soft, so be careful or you'll just crush it. This one is the least ripe, so it's relatively easy. Let's try now this one that's really ripe. You can smell the sweetness from them right now. So this one's gonna be, let's try see if I can, like I said, these are really ripe, so there we go. We just cut around the ridge, and this one's almost falling apart. And over here it's really ripe. Don't worry that they have like little, let me get over there. If they have those little brown spots or anything, that's all perfectly fine. Okay. And the last one. Now, one very important thing when you're making these is the temperature of the oil. These plantains have a lot of sugar, and therefore they will brown relatively quickly. So what you really want to do is fry them at around 310 degrees, something like that. If you get the oil too hot, they will get really like burnt black. And then you end up with like burnt sugar taste to these plantains. So there they are peeled. Now we need to cut them. Traditionally, they're cut at a diagonal. I would say cut them to be about pretty thick. They do shrink a lot, so about 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch thickness. If you do too thin, they just taste thin, but they're still delicious, so it's not the end of the world. So see, that's about the right amount, and hopefully we'll do a video in a second. We'll show you how they look on the now I really am pretty terrible at cutting these things at a diagonal, but it doesn't matter, it all tastes good. Now, you also want to be using very clean oil. I would suggest you use fresh oil for this. Anything that you have fried before, it's going to pick up any loose particles that are in that oil and stick to this. These are very sticky, especially when they're these sweet. And here you see the plantains all cut up. Okay, and we're going to get ready to heat up the oil. A regular frying pan. You don't want something deep, you want it relatively shallow. And you want just enough oil for them to cover the plantains. You don't want, you don't want a little shallow bit of oil. So you want a good inch and a half in the pan. And So let's start heating that up. Now it is, like I said, the temperature is very important. I think it's very important also to have a temperature probe. This is an instant on. This is relatively cheap. It's not the expensive one you see on shows or anything like that, but about $30. And this way I can easily see the temperature on the oil. And right now it is very cold. It's about 75 degrees. So let's come back as soon as that comes up to temperature. Okay, again, here are the fried plantains, and here's the pan of oil. Right now it's about 1.5 inches. I don't know if you can tell very well about how deep that is, but that's all we really need. We don't need much more, about 1.5 inches. And you can see the temperature on the probe is about 117 right now. So never touch the bottom of the pan because it will throw you see how it rises? It throws everything off. You need to lift it off the bottom of the pan. Okay, so we'll be back when it reaches about 310 degrees, 315. So now we're back. The temperature of the oil is about 336, 347, so it's shot up really quick. Now it's a little bit hot for me right now. It's about 350. I do know that the temperature is going to drop when I put in the plantains, so I'm going to put them in and I'll be monitoring that temperature. Okay, so let's start. I got a pair of prongs or a fork, and let's start putting them in. Start frying up. I'm really counting on the temperature to drop. Preferably they should be about 315, 320. I've already dropped the heat, so hopefully they will calm down a bit. Little by little, just drop them in there. And there we go. You pick them up, fry them up. As you can see that they're not getting, temperature has dropped. So I'm going to check them and see how it goes. That's it. Okay, let's see what the temperature is at right now. And it's dropped to 273, 304, 315. So they're right about the temperature I wanted. Now, as these are frying up, I recommend you don't lay them on like paper towels to drain. They are greasy, that's the way they are. If you put it on paper towels, what most likely is going to happen, they're going to stick to that paper towel, and then you're going to either end up eating some paper towels or losing some of the delicious plantains that are here. So I just put them on a regular plate. If you want to be careful, you can sometimes, since that's where I'm laying things, you can put in just a little bit of oil so as for nothing to stick on the plate. And if they do, it's all fine. Okay, so let's turn these around. They're golden yellow. We want a much darker caramel color to them. It's going to take its sweet time. This is where you have to resist the urge of like cranking up the heat to get them done quicker. Now, what can you eat these with? Traditionally, they are served with a chicken and rice, arroz con pollo, which eventually I'll put up a video on how to make it. They'll probably go great with jambalaya. Hope my friends from Louisiana doesn't kill me for saying that, but anything of that rice, tangy, savory dishes, this adds a little bit of sweetness. as a side dish, and it works great. Matter of fact, you can have it to almost any savory dish. They're fantastic. Now, if you don't want to go through the trouble of making these, the stores here in Miami, by the way, will carry frozen ones where you can heat up in the oven. They're acceptable. It doesn't compare to this. First of all, I seriously doubt that they will let them ripen to this point. When plantains get this ripe, they're not easily processed by machinery and all that. You end up with mush. Sorry about that, mush. So they actually will get fluffy, and then they will actually cool down a bit and lose some of that fluff. Let's see what the temperature's like. Good thing is you can rest all your utensils that you're using on the plate. Any oil that drips onto the plate, it's perfectly fine. It's just going to help things from sticking. Let's see, the temperature now is, I'm getting about 267, so it's a 280. So it cooled down significantly. I may just crank it to get it up a little bit to but not too much. You would have to know your stove to actually know how much to adjust it. In this case, this is my favorite burner, so I use it a lot, and it's not as strong as it used to be. So I just keep turning them around. Oops, let me see. I'm going to add a little bit of light here. I don't know if that helps anything at all. And I don't think it helped at all. Let's see. And you can entertain yourself by flipping back and forth. Now, if you happen to have one of those fryers that you can just set the temperature, that would be ideal. Like I said, I'm looking at it right now, and these, they can probably crank up a little bit more and it will be okay. They've been cooking for a while, so they're done inside. It's just now getting that nice color that we want. And yes, I'm getting impatient. I want them done ASAP. I want to eat. Everybody eats. You see, they're nice, golden, brown, nice amber. I can pull them out now. You can wait a little longer if you like. It's all up to you at this point. I think I'm going to leave it for about 30 more seconds and they're coming out. So now I'm going to start pulling out the ones that I feel are the darkest. I just lay them out. Do not put them on top of each other. They would just turn into a giant mass of plantains. They will stick to each other. So as they're cooling, I'm going to put the remaining ones I have over here. So here you see them, nice and brown. I would say actually they're the perfect color right now. I've gone darker. I normally don't go much lighter than that. Let's see if they're cool off enough where I can eat them. See, it's already there. It's hot, and it was sticking to the plate. So let's. It's so good. They're chewy, almost taffy-like, very sweet. I wish I had made some arroz con pollo for tonight. That's not the case. The plans were ready tonight, so that's why I made them. You can buy them green. They'll take a while. I think I've had these now here for like 3 weeks, waiting to get ripe. I'll probably also do some videos on what to do with the green plantains. But if you always have some lying around, you can end up with a very nice side dish. Do not use a banana. They do not work. They don't have the structure, the starch needed. They will just turn into mush in your oil pan. So definitely you do not want to do that with a banana. You can get your plantains. And again, if you don't want to go through the trouble, you want to try them, look for frozen sweet plantains, Maduros. There's a whole bunch of brands, Goya. It's the first one that comes to mind. Actually here, even you have a Publix. Publix even have their own brand and they sell them. Maybe you can request them to order some for you. Like I said, Goya is the largest brand out there, so you should be able to find some. Right? Hope you enjoy, and until next time, happy eating.